Hello, welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is Lily Loves Learning, and today I wanted to go over one of our favorite curriculums that we have used so far, and that is moving beyond the page. So if you've seen some of our earlier videos, you've seen that we've used this curriculum for the last 3 years. And it's now called Beyond the Page. So that's the website, beyondthepage.com. But I think I most of the time still refer to it as moving beyond the page. So you could see it both ways. So today we want to go over a little bit about how to navigate the website and what the curriculum includes to see if this might be something that you think your student would be interested in as well. It can be a little overwhelming in the beginning to navigate through here and see what is offered. So I just wanted to go give a quick overview of what this curriculum includes. So let us get started. So this is the homepage for the Beyond the Page website. And there's a Learn More section. They have a blog. I haven't read too much of the blog entries. I'll show you what this little symbol sends you to. Walk through the shop and the getting started. So let's go first to the getting started section. This curriculum has multiple grade levels, all the way from ages 4 to 5 through 1 year of high school. I have seen on their frequently asked questions about possibly having a future high school year. Really excited about that. Really hoping that they offer that before my daughter gets into high school. But currently there's just 1 year so far of high school. For the age levels, the general recommended age level curriculum to choose would be the middle age. So for instance, ages 7 through 9, the age would be 8 that they usually recommend, but it can be used for one age below or above. That's just the general rule. Obviously, you can use this for any level that seems suitable for your child. It's also nice because it may be something, if you have multiple students that are close enough in age, you can get one that's in that general age range for them. For instance, the 8 through 10 is what we worked on this last year. So that's generally considered 4th grade. And then our upcoming year, we'll be doing ages 9 to 11, which is considered the 5th grade-ish year. Okay. And then I'm going to demonstrate this or show you what's in this website for the ages 9 to 11, because that's what we are moving into. So on the Getting Started page, there is a year at a glance. And then they also offer different schedules, and you can view this even before you purchase the curriculum. So they have a 5-day schedule, a 4-day schedule, and a relaxed 4-day schedule. So it just means you're going to be doing it for more weeks. So for instance, this is the 5-day homeschool schedule. I'll walk through this more once we get over to the curriculum, but generally, each day consists of 3 main lessons. So you have a language arts, a math every day, and then the associated unit for a given language arts unit for this age level will be either a social studies or a science. So the first weeks, it'll be a social studies unit with that language arts. But if you go farther along in the weeks, you'll see that that now transitions to a science unit, but again, still just one of those. So you're either doing a social studies or a science unit at a time. This is the recommended. You can obviously change this around for what works for you and your schedule. And then they have a 4-day homeschool schedule. This is 4 days. So these might cover multiple lessons in a given day to try to get roughly around the same amount of lessons done in a given week. This is for a 36-week school year. That is the same for both the standard 5-day and the 4-day schedule. However, if you go to the 4-day relaxed homeschool schedule, that is spreading it out over more weeks. So that extends your year to 40 weeks. We have not used their math curriculum. We've just used the science, social studies, and language arts. If you don't use their math curriculum, you would just put in the place for math of whatever curriculum you're using for that day. But they do recommend to have math covered every day of your homeschool week. So that's the schedule for the 9 through 11. I'll show you there are a little bit differences as they get up higher in age level, so I'll show you that afterwards. Then there's also some helpful links. If you purchase the curriculum, you would have access to the online curriculum and learning gates. There is a shopping list for each 3-week unit, so you can have that pulled out. They have some review sheets, weekly spelling worksheets. I'll go into more detail on the idea share. And then if you're looking for Common Core alignment, you can see what standards are covered for each of the age levels for both the ELA and the math sections. So let's take a look at the year at a glance. You'll see they break it up into these concepts and then units within a given concept. So there are 4 concepts for the entire year. And then within a given concept, there are multiple units. And then within each unit, there are multiple lessons and then a final project within each one of those. And you'll see that, again, for this age level, it's either science or social studies that go along with each literature unit at a given time. And then farther down, there is, you can get a summary of skills, table of contents, and then you'll see here's the concept 1 that's mentioned up above. This one is relationships. And then that is broken down into 3 units. There is unit 1 that goes along with the language arts unit here. There's the science unit that goes along with the language arts units here. And then the unit 3 that goes along with the units art. This one would be social studies that goes along with your language arts here. There is an equal amount of science and social studies, so it's basically every other how it switches off. So you'll see here was a social studies, then a science, then a social studies, and then for the next concept, the first one would be a science unit. And this is a nice overview because it shows you the unit, which would be what your moving beyond the page curriculum title would be. And then it gives you the books that would go along with that particular unit. So this is a nice overview of what is included for all that grade level, including the books. So that is getting started. I will show you a little bit higher up. So this one would now be 7th grade, ages 11 to 13. The getting started will be very similar, but let's take a look at the 5-day schedule for this grade level. What you'll notice is that now each day includes both a science and a social studies. So each day for this curriculum at this age level will have a science, a social studies, a language arts, and math. So it bumps up a little bit more as you get older. And I believe 10 to 12 is when that switches. Nope, sorry, 11 to 13. So all the way through 6th grade, it will just have one science or social studies. And then once you move into 7th grade and 8th grade, then it will have both social studies and science in the same day. And you can see down here once it moves to Week 4, now we've switched from the science to the social studies. For the high school level, that only includes the language arts. So there is not a separate science and social studies unit for high school. Once you hit that year, it's just considered language arts for that. So you would need to pull in your own curriculum choices for social studies, science, and math. So that's the getting started. Then I will move on to this little symbol here. This takes you to where their additional information is covered for their curriculum. So this goes beyond just the standard books that you would get. Some of these you can access without purchasing. Others will only appear once you have purchased their curriculum. The idea share is available with or without purchasing of the curriculum. You would select the age that you're looking for, the concept that you're in, and then the particular unit that is within that concept. And then you can see within that, there are multiple lessons for that given unit. And then below, these are things that other people have left that could aid in that given lesson. So for instance, under the concept 1, relationships for the 9 to 11 grade level, in the unit, the 50 states, and in the lesson 1, states and capitals, other people have put links in here that could provide a great idea for the lesson. Maybe to aid in the lesson, maybe a fun activity, an experience you could do that go along with that particular lesson in the unit in any given concept. So some of these may not have any information. Some of them may have a lot of information that you can use. So that you can access even before you buy the curriculum. These schedules, learning gates, portfolio, and links would come in once you purchase. Actually, this might have... So it looks like the links for the curriculum you can access as well before you purchase. But the other ones, you would need to purchase the curriculum to see and access those. So that's kind of the additional content that's available online. If you purchase the curriculum, you can also get access to the online version of it. Those would be in this link as well. So now let's go into more detail about the specific grade level that we're going to be working on, which is 9 to 11. I find it easier to go and view it in the shop version just because it's a little bit more visual. So let's go to the 9 to 11 grade level. There are a number of different packages that can be purchased, but you can also pick one unit. You can buy a given concept, whatever works best for you. I have also purchased them in a used version. So if you can find a used version, that's available as well. And then I'll go into more details about the different options that you can purchase and how you can, if you would like to print it yourself and maybe save some money that way, how you can choose that version in their shop online. So the full year package comes in 2 different versions. One that includes the math, and then one that is just the science, social studies, and language arts. And they have these little icons. So the science, the social studies, the language arts, and the math. So you can see what's included in these given packages. And then also when you go to a particular unit, it'll tell you, it'll have this little symbol next to it so you can see what type of topic that's covered, which subject is within that given unit. So let's go through. I don't use the math curriculum, so I don't have as much information about that. but let's go into the other 3 subjects. In this link, it will give you links again to that learn more. You can see some samples, so I'll show you that in a minute. And then that same getting started link that we've already covered. So for this one, it also gives you what's included, but now it's a little bit more of a visual for each of those units. So the first concept we covered was the relationships, and then this gives you the unit. So the unit includes poetry for language arts, and then the 50 states for the social studies. The next unit is the view from Saturday. Again, a language arts, you can see the symbol above. And then unit 2 energy has the science symbol above that. And then the last one for this concept is American Tall Tales and Legends, and then your state. And then the second of the 4 concepts is diversity and interdependence. So that has the unit 1 of the K for language arts, unit 1, the living seas for science. So in this one, we're starting with science instead of the social studies, since it goes every other throughout the year. The second unit is a house of tailors, and then for the language arts, and then the social studies unit is immigration. And the last unit for this given concept is my side of the mountain for language arts and biomes for science. The third concept is discovery and survival. So the language arts is the Witch of Blackbird Pond for unit 1, and then the social studies is colonization and revolution. And what they try to do in each of these units is try to have a connection between whatever the science or social studies unit is to the language arts. So they try to connect them. A good example of that is in unit 2, the science is technology and invention, and then the language arts unit is the invention of Hugo Cabret. And then lastly, for that given concept, we have westward expansion for the social studies unit, and then the book is The Ballad of Lucy Whipple for the language arts. For the last concept, we have systems. So again, connecting the units, we have a science unit of space, and then the novel that goes along with that is A Wrinkle in Time that takes place in space. The next one for that concept is unit 2, state government and economics for the social studies unit, and then Lincoln for the language arts unit. And then lastly for the year is science unit, the human body, and then an independent study. So something that you are learning yourself and you want to research. And then below has all of the literature that go along with each of those units. So you can see above the books that are associated with that. And then if you want to learn which ones go to which unit, you can click on one of the units. And if you scroll down, oh, this one doesn't have one. So let's try a different one. The other required items are listed here. Okay. And then, as I mentioned before, they give you different options for buying. So if you wanted to buy just this package, you could buy that specific one as well to get the required items for that one. So that is the full year package grade level, which includes both the curriculum books that are shown above and all of these novels. So that everything that you would need for that curriculum is in the full package purchase. It also includes manipulatives. So this is both a literature curriculum as well as hands-on. So for the science units, they have literature that goes along with it, but then also includes science kits. And then some other ones, like in the history unit, there's a history timeline. There is a 50 states game. And then it looks like there's also a couple of art activities that might be somewhere in one of the curriculums. And then this last one is part of science. So let me show you one more thing about the science unit. So as I mentioned, the science units have both literature as well as hands-on science kits. You don't have to purchase the science kits. It gives you a list of the materials and you can work through those, finding them, sourcing them yourself. But they do offer having an easier kit that you can use to help aid in not having to search all over for the required items. They have both the first semester, which would include the first 3 science units for that given year, and then the second semester will be the last 3 units. It tells you what this kit contains. So if you think, hey, I have everything, I'm fine, I don't need it, you don't have to purchase it. But if you would like to have everything cut out, ready to go, this is a really nice option to purchase that science kit. And they have it again for both the first semester and the second semester. And they do have in each of the science kit, they have like a general multi-use items. But then for things that are just specific to a given unit, they have those listed on each of the packages. So inside that science kit, they will have, let's say it's a unit 1, 2. I think the second one is a science kit. And then lesson 4. And it'll have a little bag separated out for that given unit and lesson. So you don't have to try to search through the entire box to figure out which items are supposed to go to that lesson. It'll have it nice and bagged for you. Makes it really easy to take and go and implement quickly. Okay. So now I'm going to show you what is available to you in the samples. So the sample includes the first 2 weeks of lessons for every subject in every age level. So it won't give you every unit, so you can't see every unit, but it does give you examples for the for 9 to 11, the language arts, the social studies, the science, and the math. And then it'll give you the first 2 weeks, so it gives you more than just the first lesson, which is nice. So if you want to see what is involved in the language arts units for a given grade level to see if it seems like it's on the right grade level for you, you can pull the first unit and look through the various lessons to see what's in there. So I'll walk you through, I'm going to go to 8 to 10. And then in here, you can click on any given lesson. And this will be a really good demonstration of what's included in each of the lessons for the language arts, the science, and the social studies. Again, there's math as well. I just don't have as much experience in those. So it has a getting started section. So this is on each of the lessons, just the summary at the top of going over what materials might be needed, any definitions that are required, what are the overall questions that we're going to try to cover in this lesson, and then the skills that are associated with it. There is an introduction. There is, along with if there's a reading required for that lesson, there are questions that are asked, and then goes into the activities. So there are usually multiple activities for each lesson. The expectation is it'll tell you to do all of the activities unless there is an option, and then it'll tell you this one, depending on what maybe level your student's at or what might interest them. We do not necessarily do all the activities for every single lesson. I like to pick and choose what I think would be best for my student for that given lesson and for that given unit. And you'll notice on this, oh, here's a good example of an option. So for activity 3, natural resources and survival, there is an option 1 and there's an option 2 that they consider to be advanced. So you can determine which one best suited for your student. So you will notice for this one, this is written to the teacher. So it says, ask your child what she learned in the previous lesson about Laura Ingalls Wilder and the state of Wisconsin. And then if you keep going farther down, there's just one section at the top and then the given activity pages after that. I will show you a difference in the 9 to 11. Let's just pick lesson 1. Now it's written to the student. So once you move to 5th grade, the curriculum is now written to the student. There are teacher pages that might have answer guides, but overall it's now that they have gone past, learning to read, now they're reading to learn. This is written to them. So now it says, have you ever read a book of poems? So now it's written to the student and they can read through this. You can obviously work closely with your student on this, but it is now written to the student. Gives you the same general topics. Here's a getting started section, the items you might need for this given unit, the definitions that might be helpful. There is a reading and questions unit similarly to the other ones, but now this is for the student. So this would just have the question and then they could fill that out and they could give it either verbally or they can write it into this section. It will have the activities that they can then mark off as they're going. And then you can determine maybe ahead of time which activities you think are appropriate. There's a day 1 and day 2, and then there's the wrapping up section. And then they also, again, have the activity pages that are associated for that given lesson. So that's included there as well. And then if we scroll down in the back, now you'll go to the parent overview section. So this is a shortened version of it written to the parent so that you can understand similarly what's needed for this unit, what skills are learning, but it'll have your answers now. So now, although this just says answers will vary for the reading questions, now for the activities, it won't have the full description of the activities because, again, that was written to the student in the student plan section. But it will have, if there are, answer keys for that given lesson. Okay. So that is the overall curriculum moving beyond the page. So, oh, one more thing. I was going to show you how to view different types of options for purchase. So this is a nice visual. And if you do need all of a given curriculum, you can save money than buying things individually. So you can see if you buy the full year, it saves $173. And then a given unit could save you different amounts. I will say that once a year in the spring, I think it's March timeframe, could be April, sometime around that time, they offer an extra 10% off of full packages. So if you buy, any of these full year packages, then there's an extra 10% off. So if you are considering and you can wait until that springtime, it's a very short period of time. So I would try to, mark that on your calendar to check in on that. then you can save like an extra 10% off of those. Okay. So if you scroll down, if you want to see more than just what's offered here, if you scroll down, there's a discover more options. So you can see different options here. If you want to see everything that in every possible way that you can buy it, you can go down here and click on this everything button. So this will not be in a nice visual format, but it does give you a lot more options for you of what you can purchase. So you can start at the full package. It'll tell you which subjects are covered. But let's say maybe you just want the curriculum only and you don't want, because you can get maybe most of the books at the library, and then if you can't, you can maybe buy them used or just get the few that are needed. You can purchase those individually. So it could save you a lot of money if you want to just do that. There is an option for online curriculum only that won't give you the physical books, but will give you all of the curriculum that's needed. So all of those moving beyond the page books. And then if you scroll over, you can see the price difference between the curriculum only purchase, which is $441, and an online version which is $263. If you don't need the books, but you still want to get those physical ones, that can save you some money as well. And then if you click on this item, it'll tell you all of the things that are included in it. So it says, it's got the little pictures of them here. Includes online access to all 6 science units, 6 social studies units, and 12 literature units. This looks like a typo in the age 8 to 10 level. This is the 9 to 11 level. This option is designed for parents that already own many of the required books and manipulatives or can access them through the library. But it said, please note that the books, manipulatives, and kits are an integral part of the curriculum and are required to implement. And it includes an online access to Beyond the Page Online for 18 months. So this will just include their curriculum. It won't include any of those manipulatives, so those extra art pieces, the science kits, or any of the literature books that are required for those units. So you can determine what best meets your needs. Again, if you also are looking for just something specific, there is a complete semester 1 package only, complete semester 2 package only, the curriculum only for each of those. And then if you're just looking for maybe one subject, they break it down for those as well. Again, could be just online only. So if I just want the science units, I can pull just the curriculum only. And then maybe I want to use the science manipulative packages with that. So I want to get those kits, but everything else I can just do online. I can either print them out for use or just use them through a computer or tablet or something else, other device. And then farther down, it breaks it down even further beyond just a subject. It'll go into the concepts. So if I want to look at just one of the concepts, I can get that entire package. If I want to go break it down even further and just look at specific units, I can get those. Another option is if you have let's say a used copy of one of the curriculum items, but the student activity pages are filled in. You can also, for a given unit, get just the student activity pages online and print those out. And then that could be, a way to make it reasonably priced if you need to. And it has that for all of the different concepts. If you're looking for just a specific book, those are available to you. If you're looking for just a science kit, those are options for you. But this gives you any number of ways that you could purchase the curriculum. And then maybe if you need to buy it throughout the year, This is one way to do it. You could do it by either concept or unit themselves. If you just want to try one out, maybe you purchase one of them online and see if you like that curriculum. So they have this for all of the different grade levels. So that concludes my overview of the Beyond the Page packages. Let me know if you have any questions or would like to see one of these in a little bit more detail. I shared in our curriculum picks which ones of these units for 9 to 11 we're going to be covering for this school year. And then if you look at prior videos, you can see some of the ones we did for other age levels. So thank you for following along. If you can, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.